I'm Melissa.
And I'm Mike.
Welcome back to True Crime Thursday.
Yeah. Another True Crime Thursday is here, which means it's almost the weekend.
Yeah, we say that every single week. Every single
I
week,
know,
that's
I
that's
know,
what ends up happening.
I know. It's Thursday again? Where did the summer go? Um, so, we were gonna do some stupid criminals ones this week, but there's a current case going on that's kind of very high profile. A lot of people talking about it.
hmm
It's the murder trial of Lindsay Clancy, which is in Massachusetts. So we thought that would be a good one to talk about this week. It is an in-process case. It's actually the trial's going on right now. I think the
Yeah.
defense just rested like this week,
hmm
the prosecution just rested this week, and so the defense is presenting their case now. Um, so you want to go through the timeline?
Yeah, let's do it. So, um, okay, sorry, I'm catchy. I had to scroll all the way up. It scrolled me all the way down. Okay.
Yeah, I hate when that happens.
So, okay, yeah, so the current trial that's going on right now, that's what has introduced a bunch of pretty important information on Lindsay, including like her past medical history, digital searches, and also her behavior before and after the killings. So, yeah, um, that's kind of, I guess, what we're mostly talking about today,
Yeah,
since there's no real outcome, is just like what's already
yeah.
established and then what prosecutors already are kind of alleging.
Yeah, and so but to give some background, if you don't know about the case,
Yeah.
this is a murder trial, where she's on trial for murdering her three children.
Three kids, yeah. So
Yeah,
one of them, Cora, who was 5, Dawson, who was 3, and then Callan, who was 8 months.
right.
So she allegedly murdered that. Well, I guess, is it alleged? Because, I mean, well,
I guess it's still alleged, yes.
yeah. Um, so they were murdered at their family home, allegedly, in Duxbury, Massachusetts on January 24th, 2023. This is another one of those cases that happened like so long ago and we're just now getting to the trial.
Right, right.
Um which okay, pause real quick. Like that would be so annoying, I guess, if you did commit a crime. They really do make you wait it out sometimes. Like she really has
Yeah,
just been waiting in jail this whole time, like
yeah,
waiting for trial. It's kind of crazy. Um
yeah.
so she has admitted to causing their deaths, but the fundamental question at the trial isn't necessarily, I guess, whether she killed them, but whether she was criminally responsible for doing
Right.
so. So she's not saying I didn't kill them, but yeah, it's, I guess, like
Yeah,
intent is the bigger thing around here.
right.
So the prosecution argues that Lindsay Clancy, deliberately created an opportunity to be just alone with the children and then intentionally killed them.
Right.
The defense is who's arguing that she was experiencing severe postpartum psychiatric illness, including postpartum psychosis and bipolar disorder, and that she was incapable of appreciating the wrongfulness of her actions. Um, so after she killed them, she also attempted suicide by jumping from the second story window of her house, but I believe she just ended up with some broken bones. She just had some
Yeah,
injuries
which,
and oh yeah, that's right. Okay, yeah. So she ended up actually paralyzing herself. That's what it was. She
yeah,
did not die though, which it's always crazy how that happens, right?
yeah.
Um,
It also says she cut her wrists and her neck before she jumped. She cut her own wrist and neck. So it looks like she was trying to kill herself. It doesn't look
I
like
would,
that was
yeah.
like some attempt to, get away with it or something like that.
Yeah, and I feel like I don't know, jumping from just the second story of your home, like that's pretty high, but I don't think it's like unless you really fall in a like way that your neck like
Yeah.
just
I f-
like does
I
it to you, but like,
I
you know,
fell off of the roof at your Nana and Pop-Up's house, the garage roof, which would be like jumping from the second story. And, you know,
broken
some
bones.
people might say I'm not fine, but I'm fine.
Yeah, I think um I think that's kind of like I don't know. I guess she was just trying everything, but if she already had like slit her neck and wrists, I don't know why you wouldn't just go out that way and what the theatrics of jumping out of the
Yeah.
house
Maybe it
was.
wasn't quick enough. I don't know.
That's crazy. Okay, so let me scroll on down. Give me one moment. Okay,
So,
so go ahead. Go
no,
ahead while
no,
I
it's fine.
scroll.
Okay, okay. I was just gonna say, so I had some earlier timeline stuff, somewhat
Oh yeah.
related. Because I guess in August to December of 2022, she was being treated for profound anxiety, depression, and
Oh,
insomnia after the birth of the third child, the 8 month old.
Callan, yeah.
Um, yeah, and the clinicians had her on a rotating cocktail of a dozen different medications, including antidepressants, sleep aids, and antipsychotics. So she was taking some serious stuff for that.
Yeah.
Um,
Mhm. Um yeah, I read that I guess her family had mentioned that there was an escalating pattern of anxiety, depression, insomnia, intrusive thoughts, suicidal thoughts, fear, paranoia, difficulty functioning, and also fears of harming herself or her children. Um, and yeah, this was as well after her son was born. So her son was born, it
yeah,
says in May 2022. So this was like shortly after. And, I do know that, postpartum depression and
yeah,
psychosis and all that stuff is a real thing that people go through. But, I don't think all those medications she was on could have really, like, I don't know. That's
yeah.
a
I
lot of medications to
It
be on.
almost sounds like the medications may have been doing more harm than good. Um,
Right. Which happens a lot of times as well. Like it almost
yeah.
makes people's symptoms
Well, if you
increasingly worse.
yeah, if you've ever seen some of those drugs for like, for depression and that kind of thing,
Yeah.
they'll even say like the drug might cause suicidal thoughts, which is like,
Oh, right.
is that drug
Mhm.
working if it's causing suicidal thoughts? I don't know how things like that, if it's a drug to help somebody who's got depression, I don't know how that gets approved. How does the FDA approve a drug that one of the side effects could be having suicidal thoughts?
I think it's because like really they like I think when you're having any kind of those thoughts, like it all stems from the brain.
Right.
And, I just really don't think that with medication that's like doing your brain, parts of our brain are all connected and one part of our brain can also accompany like the same I don't know, depression isn't just here and you can just
Right.
turn it off and it's like fine.
Right.
So I think when you're taking these medications that are directly supposed to like help one part of your like brain,
Right. Right.
you don't know how this drug is going to affect the other parts of your brain. I don't
Right.
really think that there's any way for them to ever get that right because everybody is so different as well.
Right.
I,
I
you
mean, I
know,
think I think at some point they'll have like they have a very good understanding of the human brain today. That's why they're able to do these kind of things because they know
yeah,
that, depression is or a symptom of depression is probably lack of certain compounds
true.
in the certain parts of your brain and that kind of thing.
Mhm.
Um, so that's what you're exactly right. So they're treating it by something that will increase that, And it sounds like maybe in some percentage of those cases, it solves one problem but turns it into a different one, or which is like, I don't know. I think there's, and I know there are people that need those kind of things too.
Hmm.
Um, but I feel like there have to be like bet because is whatever chemical imbalance they're treating with the drug that they're trying to increase that chemical in the brain,
Hmm.
is the lack of the chemical a symptom or the result? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Is that chemical being kind of reduced because the person has the severe depression? I'd be curious about that. I'm not a doctor or a scientist, so I have no idea on this.
I look at it like, if you have tooth pain and you take medicine to, they always say that the differences between like ibuprofen and acetaminophen and all that stuff.
Hmm.
I have tooth pain. I take acetaminophen. It goes right to my brain to turn off when you take that acetaminophen. It turns off the pain receptor in your brain. So now that pain that you had is no longer pain. You don't have pain anymore for a little bit, but it
Right,
doesn't fix the problem. So now your
right,
problem could continue to get worse, but because you're taking this medicine, you're not worried about it anymore because it no longer
right.
hurts. So now the
Yeah,
problem's getting worse. Or you could take ibuprofen, which takes care of the pain, and apparently I think ibuprofen is the one that also like deswells or something like that.
yeah, anti-inflammatory, or
Yeah.
is it?
So
Is that an
like, yeah, it's anti-inflammatory. I think that's what it is. So, but that doesn't even work with your brain. That goes to I believe it's your liver.
Mm-hmm.
So now you take too much of ibuprofen to solve your pain that you're having, and but now it's affecting your liver. So
Right.
cool, my pain is
And
gone,
by
but
the
now my
way,
liver's getting bad.
right. And by the way, you're still not dealing with the problem because the tooth is probably the result of, might be the result of an infection in your gum, and you're not treating
Exactly.
the infection, you're treating the that's what I'm saying here is I just wonder
Exactly.
if
You're
that's
treating the
possibly the
symptom.
case. And,
Mhm.
because there's so much money in this stuff, once they come out with something like this and it's approved to be a treatment, they just, it's just what they do.
Yeah.
Um,
Oh,
so,
let me
and
get
we
my.
got way off topic of the case here.
Well,
But
no, I
it
mean, I
also
think
says in that year, in the end of 2022, she checked herself into a psychiatric hospital for help. So it seems that she
yeah,
was trying to,
to
move in that
solve.
direction.
No, I mean, I think, I what it all comes down to is clearly she was going through something. I don't fully believe that it was just that she, was, woke up one day and was like, actually, I don't want
Yeah,
these kids anymore, or myself
yeah,
actually.
yeah,
Like, let's just end
yeah.
this right now. I don't
Right,
think it was a case of that. I think it was a long time, just road of struggle.
right.
Um, so by fall 2022, that's when her, like the, kind of deterioration of her mental health and everything that she was going through kind of came about. That's when her and her husband's family also were seeing an increasing concerning behavior coming from her. Her husband also testified during the trial, and he said that her condition was getting worse and worse by this time. She reportedly had suicidal thoughts and had told her husband that she was experiencing thoughts about hurting the children. He also said he never saw her actually hurt them before January 24th. Like, you know,
Yeah,
not even like disciplinary, nothing like that.
yeah, yeah.
Um, he also described a woman who could express frightening thoughts one moment and then go back to making lunch for the kids or putting them to bed the next, which I think goes hand in hand in the bipolar that she was diagnosed with.
Yep.
So during the testimony for the defense, So they demonstrate a progression of a serious psychiatric disorder. And then the prosecution, oh my God, stop, my phone's ringing. And then for the prosecution, they demonstrated that Lindsay could experience disturbing thoughts without acting on them. Basically, therefore, like showing that she can control herself. She has the ability to control herself.
Right.
Like, no, she couldn't have done this because, yeah, she would have those disturbing thoughts, but then she never would do anything. But one could argue that also first time for everything, I
Right.
guess,
Yeah, it only takes one time, as we see here.
yeah, Um, so one of the biggest issues during this trial so far is the number and combination of psychiatric medications that she received.
Mm-hmm.
The defense has been arguing that she was prescribed numerous medications over a relatively short period and that the treatment was fragmented. At one point, this is according to evidence, she had been prescribed 13 different medications. The defense said that the medications contributed to her deterioration and that Lindsay repeatedly complained about their effects.
Yeah.
So there you go.
There's even a thing here that says that I guess the day before the children were killed, she saw a medical professional and denied having suicidal or homicidal thoughts. But that night, she put an update on her phone, updated a note on her phone rather, that said, "Medication stole my motherhood and my life. Prescription medication stole me from my own body." That was the note that she put into her phone. Um, so kind of,
That's so sad.
yeah. And
Yeah.
I mean, what I would be curious about is, she started, she was having depression. She was having, these issues. Um, did the medication actually like make it worse? I mean, it almost,
Yeah.
when you listen to this case, it really almost sounds like the medication made it worse. And I feel like when you're putting somebody on all those drugs and all these drugs have side effects and God knows what kind of drug interactions as well,
13
may have been
different
going
in
on.
like 13 different medications. I'm not, I'm sure like I don't know. I get that like doctors, I'm not a doctor. I'm sure like they knew what they were doing maybe, but like I guess I see it like 13 medications.
Yeah.
Nobody
Like
needs
you,
that much that many
unless you have,
medications. There's just
unless
unless
you have some kind of a very serious disease that's being, and I know mental,
like
that this kind of
physical
stuff is right, right. Yeah.
nobody I just don't think that 13 medications are the solution to
Yeah.
any type of like I don't know,
I, and
emotional sickness or anything like that. I don't
yeah,
think that that's the issue. Like
yeah. And to some extent, I feel like it's almost like a societal problem though, because, today people they do look for a solution, from some kind of drug, for everything. Like they look
well,
for
it's an
a
easy
solution from some
fix,
kind of drug. Right, right.
like
Yeah, yeah. I don't have to change anything about myself. I just have to take a pill.
when I have a
Um,
headache, like I can't imagine if I was one of these people that's
true.
allergic to acetaminophen and they can't just like pop an Advil. Like,
Yeah,
oh my
yeah.
God, what
That's
do you
true.
like? But there is a way to fix it. Like, they do figure it out. Like, they don't just
Yeah,
die. They put a cold compress on their forehead, or you know what I
right.
mean? Like,
Yeah,
there
that's
are
true.
other ways
And this is not, in any way like judging people that have to take some of these, medications for depression and that. That's, they're dealing with stuff. I
for
just I
sure.
just worry that sometimes doctors are too quick to go to the prescription route
Yeah,
and not look into, other things, other maybe less dangerous options.
yeah, yeah. I mean, there's a reason, like on those commercials where everyone always talks about it when they're like the people are jumping and dancing around and riding their bicycles and licking their ice
Yeah.
cream and stuff. And it's
Yeah.
like going through the long list of all the side effects. Like, gosh, do I want to keep this disease or shoot? Like, do I
Yeah.
want to chance diarrhea or death? Like,
Yeah.
gosh, like
Yeah.
this goes
Yeah.
quick. That escalated quickly.
Yeah, right. And that's like I always see these commercials for psoriasis. I am a sufferer of
Hmm.
psoriasis medications that like I swear one of the possible death is one of the side effects that they list, and I'm like, I'll deal with some scaly skin. I'm good.
Right,
If
gosh.
I have to look like a lizard, I'd rather be a live lizard.
Well, and so for poor Lindsay, like I think what is sad is that why I don't think that it was just like she woke up one morning and just like this came out of nowhere is because um they also said that she reportedly described feeling unlike herself and like a zombie, quote, like a
Yeah.
zombie.
Yeah.
Um so the defense also argues that Lindsay was suffering from a serious psychiatric illness, repeatedly sought help, and instead received increasingly complicated treatment that failed to identify the underlying problem. The prosecution also disputed that interpretation and relies heavily on the records of the clinicians who actually evaluated her.
Yeah.
Um, so, I mean, I think like the big part here is also like I don't know, like if she actually was trying to seek help prior to it and I don't know, just kept getting loaded up on medicines. I don't know if,
Right.
you know.
Right.
So by December 2022, that's when she started having increasing suicidal thoughts. Um, the situation had become considerably more serious, and family members testified during the trial that Lindsay was increasingly anxious, struggling to sleep, experiencing the suicide. Why am I like lisping
Yeah.
when I say that? Suicidal?
I don't know. Suicidal thoughts.
I'm just gonna say it. I'm just gonna give in. Um, Frightened by intrusive thoughts and worried about harming her children. She also had increasingly distressed about her relationship with her youngest child, which makes sense considering like all of the main stuff started happening after that child, which I have heard before from women like they'll have one child and they'll be completely like normal and fine
Mm-hmm.
after having that child and then like another child that they have it's a completely different experience.
Yeah.
She also was desperately seeking help and said
Which
medication stole my motherhood and my life.
Yeah, which I mean, I think that's one of the sadder aspects of this wasn't somebody, we've talked
Yeah.
about cases before where, and I forget the one, I think her name was Susan Smith, like back in the 80s or something like that. She
Mhm.
killed her children. I think it was also three children,
Yeah.
because she had a boyfriend who she wanted to have a life with, and those kids were in the way. That's not what this
This
was.
isn't
This
a
was
Chris
somebody,
Watts situation.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. This was somebody who was, having serious mental issues, was seeking help for those mental issues,
Yeah.
and it just doesn't seem like it was working. And it's not to like cast a shadow on like the medical community or anything like that, because you just, you don't know what you don't know. Um, but it just seems like she was trying to get help everywhere she could, and it just wasn't working for whatever
Yeah.
reason. And
Yeah.
yeah.
Um so between January 1st to the 6th in 2023, that's when Lindsay went to McLean Hospital in Massachusetts. She remained there for several days before being just discharged. The hospitalization is one of the big pieces, I guess, in the trial because that's where she was evaluated. Um, she was, well, at least this is kind of what the defense is getting at from this whole thing, is that she was clearly sick enough to require inpatient psychiatric treatment while she was there, and she was actively seeking help while she was there as well. Like, that's why she went there. Um, the prosecution is also kind of, when they talk about her hospitalization, basically their interpretation on here is that she was evaluated by mental health professionals who did not determine that she was experiencing the kind of psychosis the defense describes. The fact that she was discharged is important to the prosecution side of things, because they basically look at it like, okay, if she was discharged, she wasn't actually ever, um, like, they never determined any type of serious psychosis or anything. She just was there the whole days. But that's the days that she was there, that was just because they were evaluating her, not because they actually found anything
Oh,
too deep, I guess.
right.
Um, so the
But I
final,
mean, it's sorry.
no, go
Isn't
ahead.
that a little bit of indictment on those uh experts though, more than anything? Because like, that's like me going to the doctor and the doctor examining me and because I'm having chest pain and he says, "Oh no, you're fine. It's probably just indigestion," and then I go home and have a heart attack.
Right.
He
No,
kind
yeah.
of didn't do a thorough enough job.
Well, and
Like
that's what the,
clearly,
yeah, that's what the defense basically argues about that hospitalization moment is, yeah, the defense said the system failed to recognize what was happening,
right.
and that's why, yeah, exactly. Um, but I think, like, any type of, unfortunately, like, mental health issues and stuff, I don't know how they really, like, check it, but
Yeah, I don't either. Our I think that the people who treat that stuff um are they're this is a terrible analogy, but they're kind of like weathermen, because
yeah,
weathermen will get on TV and they will give you a completely confident forecast saying that we have an 80% chance of rain today and we won't get a drop. And I feel like it's the same kind of thing with some like medical professionals, or especially like in this field, which is a very just like weather forecasting. It's a very what's the word? It's not an exact science. It's not something that we know enough about, I don't think. And so, to make those kind of statements that are clearly not right, you know, I don't know. I feel like they have a lot higher level of confidence in what they think they know than they actually do.
yeah. No, for sure. So, yeah, I guess I just feel like, I don't know. I don't think it's as easy. Maybe it is. I don't know. Again, not doctors
No,
over here at the
and
NN
I'm not
podcast,
saying that
but
it's easy. Yeah,
I don't
definitely
I
not
don't
saying it's
think it's
easy.
I don't think it's as simple as, like, I go into the doctor with a broken bone, like, y'all know exactly
Yeah,
what to look for,
right.
and, like, to see, you can see exactly if I have a broken bone or not, like, whether I'm lying or not.
Right.
Um, so in the final weeks before January 24th, the prosecution, they had a bunch of evidence during the trial from a few weeks leading up to the 24th from before. The digital evidence is from the family's computers and also Lindsay's phone. The investigators found searches on those involving topics such as hallucinations, psychosis, depression, suicide methods, psychiatric medications, medication side effects, mania, detox, ketamine treatment, and concerns about psychiatric overprescribing. So,
And that the prosecution that presented that?
yeah, the
Because
prosecution.
I don't think that helps their case. I don't
I
think
don't think
that.
so either. Not at
Like that
all.
again points back to somebody who was having serious problems and was
Searching for answers
trying to
themselves at this
was
point,
yes,
grasping at
yes,
straws.
exactly. Exactly.
There was also a phone search for "Can you treat a sociopath?" shortly before the killings as well. So, girl was clearly going through something.
Yeah.
Um, So basically, what the prosecution is saying through all of this is that she was researching suicide and related subjects because she was contemplating and planning what she would do. So the prosecution is basically trying to tie the suicide to like premeditation, which I don't know if I really am following.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just because it's like, well, no, I think she was searching that because she was clearly like going through a lot considering all
Yeah.
the other searches that she was doing. And yeah, like she might have hated the way she was feeling, honestly, like just mentally in general. I don't know where, the children come in, but so like, yeah, I don't know. I just feel like she was more so just desperately searching for some type of like explanation or treatment herself because clearly
Right.
everything that she's been receiving wasn't working for her.
Right. Right.
Um, the exact same evidence can be interpreted as either evidence of planning or evidence of illness, is
Yeah.
also what's kind of being said.
Yeah.
So
I
the
mean,
morning of the 24th is probably the most important day to reconstruct. So the morning initially appeared ordinary. Lindsay took Cora to a pediatrician appointment. Afterward, she spent time with the children. The family went outside and played in the snow, including building a snowman. She also communicated with her husband and her mother, and then her husband later described the day as one of Lindsay's, quote, best days despite her recent mental health problems. The fact is central to the prosecution, but isn't necessarily incompatible with the defense's psychiatric theory. I think it kind of is just because um so like they had mentioned that she was dealing with like some bipolar things where her husband had mentioned how she would like snap. So
right.
personally, my unprofessional opinion, this seems like just a giant version of like those moments that he would talk about where she would like snap 1 minute and then be literally making them a sandwich being like mom of the year the next.
Right.
This kind of seems like a like zoomed in moment of those
Yeah.
moments.
Yeah. A very
Like,
extreme version of that. Yeah.
yeah, like she's fine this moment and then yeah. Um okay. So by the afternoon, investigators reconstructed a lot of the afternoon through phone records specifically and other digital evidence. Around 4 p.m., Lindsay searched for children's Miralax. She subsequently searched for um, 3V, a restaurant in Plymouth, and looked at travel information. So this part became important. I actually remember hearing about this a while ago. So she basically sent her husband out to the store and also to pick up food. But why it's important that she searched up this specific restaurant and the travel time, and this is, I guess, like where it comes in of like the premeditation side of it, because it almost was like she sent her husband to this restaurant, this like far distance away, because she was trying to, like, this isn't somewhere that she would send him all the time just to get some dinner or lunch or whatever. So it's basically looked at like, no, you knew what you were about to do, and you sent him on this, like, quote, wild goose chase to this restaurant far away to run all these different errands so that you were out of the house long enough so that she could, do
Right.
what she did.
Right.
Um, there's like obviously no actual evidence like showing that the restaurant distance, the search for like how far the restaurant was or anything was actually part of the murder plan, but I guess that's just, what do they call it? What do they call the evidence that's not really evidence?
Circumstantial.
Yeah, I guess that's,
Circumstantial, yeah.
you know.
Yeah. Yeah, because I think the defense said in that case, well, it was, that was a routine thing to pick up dinner and
Mhm.
maybe not from that restaurant, but to pick up dinner and go to the pharmacy, like that's a normal thing. And
Right.
yeah, why would you be looking at the time? Well, I don't know, maybe you wanted to figure out how long it would take to go there. I mean,
Yeah.
there are reasonable reasons that somebody would do that, but
Right.
also there is a murder involved here.
Given what happened, exactly.
Yeah, yeah.
So by 4:47, Lindsay called a CVS about children's Miralax. The store didn't have exactly what she was looking for and suggested an alternative, but that became important because her husband Patrick eventually went out to get the medication and dinner. So I don't know what,
Oh, okay,
like.
yeah.
Then by 4:53, that's when the 3V text went out. So 4:47 she called CVS, and then 4:53 she texted her husband and asked whether he would get takeout from 3V. He agreed, and then she placed the order. Um yeah, this is kind of one of what the prosecution is like hanging on for circumstantial evidence, but they can't really even use circumstantial evidence. Um
They can.
well, I'm saying, don't they always say like that's not, well, I guess maybe
I
in this
mean, yeah,
case
we
cuz
always
she already admitted to killing them. So,
right,
I guess in
right.
this case maybe it's like circumstantial
Yeah.
evidence is
Yeah, because the
a
question
bigger
here
than.
is like intent.
Yeah. Yeah, so I guess that is why they're like kind of really banking on this one. And then, here comes the defense saying asking your husband to pick up dinner and medicine isn't proof that you intended to kill your children, which I guess is also true.
Yeah. Yeah.
um, so when Patrick left to pick up dinner and the medication, he expected to be gone only a short time. According to the prosecution's reconstruction, this created the precise window during which the children were killed. While he was gone, Lindsay strangled all three children using exercise bands. They were found in the basement. Um, wait, okay. So Cora and Dawson, that is the 5 and 3-year-old. So they died on the 24th. Callan, the 8-month-old, he was actually transported to Boston's Children's Hospital, and he suffered catastrophic injuries and died actually on the 27th.
So three
So,
days later.
so only 2 of them were actually killed at the house. Um, wow, that's crazy.
Yeah.
So, yeah, so after the killings, that's when Lindsay attempted suicide by cutting herself and jumped from a second-story window. She survived but suffered catastrophic spinal injuries, and that's when she also became paralyzed.
Yeah, which is probably not the outcome she was trying to achieve.
I don't think
Um,
so. Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, and it does say, and this was something I was curious about, is what what degree of murder cases? It's first degree. They charged her with first degree, which I don't know Massachusetts law, what, first degree versus second degree versus manslaughter.
Yeah.
But I feel like in a case like this where there is this high likelihood that, I mean, if I was going to guess without like being involved in this at all, not a juror, not, only knowing what I've read about the case, um, I would guess this is probably a very likely circumstance where, reason of insanity is actually valid. Um, because of all of the evidence of everything going on before then. So it makes me think that like they might have overcharged here.
Yeah. No, I agree. I agree. I think there's too much evidence, like beforehand, almost a year beforehand, that she was dealing with. Like she was dealing with these issues pretty much. She had an 8-month old pretty much that entire 8 months, where she
Yeah.
was seeking out help and trying all these different things. And I mean, the girl had been prescribed 13 medications. So regardless, if even when she went to that hospital, if they like found anything crazy or whatever, at one point during this whole all these different episodes and stuff, she still had been prescribed 13 different medications. And I don't know too many
Yeah.
doctors that are just giving medication out to that much I couldn't even tell you 13 different medications.
Right. And was it, I'm curious if it was the same doctor or was it different doctors?
Yeah, I don't know
Was
that.
it like
Yeah.
she went to one doctor, it wasn't helping. She went to a different doctor,
I
that
mean,
wasn't
she could
helping, but
have
she's
cuz
still taking
she
everything. Yeah.
yeah.
Um,
Um so then Patrick eventually ends up coming home shortly after everything happened. That's when he found Lindsay severely injured and he called 911. He also then discovered the children, which I can't even imagine.
yeah,
Um,
no.
Police and emergency responders arrived, and the 911 call and the first responder evidence, those have been, I guess, among the most emotionally difficult parts of the trial, because that's when her husband Patrick, like that's when he was actually confronted with the like deaths of his children. And
Mm-hmm.
I didn't see it here, but I believe when he found them too, they still had the medical bands or the exercise bands around their necks as well.
Oh, wow.
Um, I'm scrolling down. Okay, so yeah, so Lindsay was charged with 3 counts of murder, 3 counts of strangulation, and initially 3 counts of assault and battery with a dangerous weapon. So she pleaded not guilty, and the case became primarily a question of criminal responsibility rather than identity.
Right. Right. In other words, did she do it or not isn't the question. It's is she
Why?
guilty of murder or is it, insanity? Yeah, and
But like, I guess I see it like, I don't know. If I'm driving a car and if I'm driving a car, I have a responsibility to safely drive that car.
right.
That's why you're not supposed to like be on any substances or anything like that. If I like do something like that and I crash my car and I kill somebody while I when I crash that car, like murder is murder. Whether
Right. Right.
I don't think it
Yeah.
should be first degree. I don't think it
Yeah,
should be
except
first
that's
degree.
I think it's a difference when you're talking about like say driving under the influence because you're not supposed to drive under the influence. Their doctors were treating her with the medications that
Yeah,
she was
that's
on,
true. That's
and if the
true.
medications that she were on were in any way involved, like that's a little bit different than
No, that
somebody
is true.
who's drinking. um yeah, it says that I guess the defense is expected to call their last witness on Thursday, today, before resting their case, and then there will
Yeah.
be rebuttal witnesses, and then closing arguments. So I don't know when they expect it to wrap up.
Yeah, I guess the prosecution, where their charges come from, is just because they think that she planned it. Just
Yeah,
given but they don't have too much evidence. The only evidence they really have is the evidence of sending her husband to the store, which I guess.
yeah. I mean, I can see that. I can see that because that does show that she was trying to delay him getting home. So she had. I can see that.
Like
I mean,
ample time. Like, what's the chances
yeah.
he's working from home? Because it also mentioned how he was working from home the whole day, so he was
Oh,
at home the whole day.
oh,
Um,
okay. So it wasn't like he was on his way home from work and she told him to do it. Okay,
no, he was
that's
working.
that's a
It
little
said
different.
it mentioned that he was working from home, and then she texted him asking if he wants to get takeout, and then he said yes, and then that's when he left.
Right.
So yeah, she was trying to get him out of the house.
Yeah,
What
yeah.
are the
And one
chances
other,
he's at home all day? Then he's trying to get, you make him get out of the house to go get medicine.
right, right.
I
Yeah, and
think the reason that she did it is obviously from medical
right
reasons,
from whatever
but
she was going through.
it
It
obviously was
says that
clearly planned.
it says to secure a conviction on these specific counts, prosecution must prove beyond a reasonable doubt that Clancy acted with deliberate premeditation and extreme atrocity or cruelty, which is that probably comes in just because it was the kids.
Yeah.
So we will we'll keep you updated on this one. I don't know if we may have an update next week depending on how this goes. So yeah, sad case. Sad case. Anything else?
Nope.
Okay. All right. Well, on that note, have a good weekend, guys, and we will see you all next week.
Bye, everybody. Have a great weekend.